think we're good. Okay, hi everyone. Happy Monday. Almost at spring break. Welcome to the second lecture of this course. Oh, also, I've decided to change the number convention. So instead of L1, we will now be calling this L2, because I think it's better to just one index everything from the assignments to the lecture slides. Some announcements. So A1 is going to be due tomorrow at 11:59. However, if you're having trouble with that, feel free to come to office hours and also look at the website for slip day policy. You do have some slip days, so feel free to take advantage of those. Partner matching forms are going to be due tonight, and there will be mentorship forms due. Oops, the date is wrong, but that is due soon, I think tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like app already. So go on the app to go both the partner info and the mentorship from app.
Yeah, cool. And then if you plan on dropping the course, shoot us an email. If grading is a concern, like feel free to come up to us. We're pretty lax in terms of grading. Like we hopefully like most years we have everyone pass. Everyone who puts in the work typically does well in this course and comes out learning a lot. So cool. Covered topics. Here's where we are right now. We covered the Swift basics last lecture, and we will now be covering UI kit and auto layout. Um, so we will now be building apps, which is kind of cool. Here is a recap of lecture 0. There is a lot of stuff, but here's a little speed run. I think a lot of you guys are familiar with many of these concepts, so I have put the important new things or potential new things in bold, such as var versus const, type assignments, in case you use something like Python instead of C++, which doesn't have types, guarding, which is like a wall, and then optionals and the three methods of handling those. And then also, do not force unwrap an optional unless we know for certain that the variable is not holding nil. That's one of the key takeaways from last lecture. And use string interpolation rather than the add operator in order to concatenate strings and put in variables into those values. All right. So quick little quiz, var versus const. Does someone here want to take a guess at which of these should be a var and which of these should be a let, basically a const? Feel free to just raise your hand and go at it.
First one should be var and the second one should be let, because we later on change that, change the x.
Yep, that's exactly right. Cool. And then just to motivate why we might do that, we might want to set something to const if it's just like a constant variable, for example, a title in your app that is always the same. And then a variable might be something like the user's name that's being displayed because that will change inevitably as you have different users. Okay, this is a brief review of guard. It's like a wall. So basically in this example, b equals 6. If b is not equal to 6, then it will print bad and return. And if b is equal to 6, then it passes this guard and then it prints work and it moves on. So yeah, this is pretty useful. And for example, if I change b to be equal to 5, then it would print bad and return this function before ever printing worked. And then optionals, these are the three methods. So you have if let, which I know I skipped over because I admittedly forgot. So basically, if let is this syntax. It's kind of like, I don't know how to handle it. You basically just unwrap it and you can print out the unwrapped name if it is not null, if it's not null. But if it is null, then it goes to the else. You also have force unwrapping, which is pretty obvious. You just put the exclamation mark at the bottom. And if it's nil, it will crash. But if it's not nil, it will print out the string. And then there's also guard let, which is very similar to guard, which was mentioned before. Cool. Any questions about last lecture's content? Nice. All right. We will now move on to lecture 2. Wait, sorry. I'll just fix that afterwards. Also, if you guys want to look at the slides on the website, it should be published there. If you want to like refer back to a previous link. But the motivation for what we're learning today is building apps, right? The next project after A1 is going to be this profile page where you essentially create your own profile page with a picture of yourself, your name, your biography, where you're from, as well as your major, or if you're still deciding what you anticipate your major to be. And we will be using different things such as UI kit. We're going to use UI kit, the framework, and we're going to be building UI labels, UI text fields, etc. And we're going to be navigating and communicating between multiple screens. So we will be learning the first bullet point today, such as how to render different components onto an app. Before we do that, we need to first learn what a class is. So classes are a blueprint for an object, and each object has properties and functions. So for example, let's see, like if you are a student, and this is a picture of Vin, you have different properties, like for example, your name, your major, and your age. And you might have different functions that apply to that class, such as, I don't know, enroll in a class or drop this class. Uh, yeah. And then the advantage of a class is that since it's a blueprint, you define the class student one time, and then you can make multiple students. So you can have Vin, right? And then this is a student. You just set this student to have the name Vin, major info sci, and age 20. And then if you have another student, Richie, you just set student 2 to be, equal to the initializer of the class, and then name Richie, major CS, and age 20. So we will now walk through an example of this. Actually, for some reason, my external monitor is not working. Alan, can I borrow your laptop real quick? It has trouble with two screens.
Wait,
Oh yeah,
Should
just pull up the course textbook. Okay, so for those of you that want to follow along with this classes demo, feel free to just pull up an Xcode file. We'll be writing this from scratch. And
you coming from there?
oh no, that's for the future ones. Let's go to, oh, you know what? I forgot to publish it. Shoot. Bad. Oh, that's totally my bad. Okay, it should now be published. Sorry, guys. Just reload. Okay. Well, I can just figure it out. Okay. Okay. Cool, nice. All right. So we'll be creating a class called student, like we showed in the slides. First, we need to actually define what the class is. So we do class student this. We set the properties. So let's see, var name, string. We're going to annotate that to be a string. Oh, and then we will set it age as well as a major. Age is going to be an int. Var major is going to be a string. Then we're going to have an initializer. So what the initializer does is it makes it so that you can call this student class in order to actually turn it into a real concrete person or value. So the syntax is like this. Swift kind of auto-completed that for me, but you have name is a string, age is an int, major is a string. And then finally, if you want to actually use this class, you can do Vin equals student, age, name, major. So his name will be Vin, his age will be 20, and his major will be info sci. And now the really cool thing about classes is that we can keep on using this for a lot of different things. So I'm going to make another one, Daniel, age 21, major is computer science. And so by using this, we can kind of like, replicate the same structure for multiple instances. And an example of when this might be useful is you need to use it in order to build different components. You need to use it to build different components. And moreover, it's useful for like making different cell objects and other things like that. Yeah, it pops up like pretty much in every programming language. Cool. Any questions about what a class is? Oh yeah, sure. Is that okay? Cool, nice. Let's see. All right. Meanwhile, I need to figure out. Okay. Cool. Any other questions about classes? Nice. All right. We'll move on to subclasses now. Okay. So have you guys heard of subclasses and inheritance before? Yes. Kind of. Okay, cool. A subclass is essentially a class that inherits all properties and functions from its superclass. So a good example of this might be if you had an animal class, and then a dog class, which would you think is the superclass and which is the inheriting class? Anyone take a guess? So you have, let's see. Okay, well, let's say you have an animal class, right? Then the animal class might have like a species name, might have like a height and a weight. And then let's say you had a bird subclass, which is a type of animal. So it will inherit from the animal class and it will have its own extra properties in addition to everything that the previous class had. So like the previous class, it'll have a species name, its, height, weight, but it will also have a special class like wings, for example, like what its wingspan is like. Because wingspan isn't applicable to all animals, but it is applicable to all birds. But species name and weight and height are applicable to every single animal. So an example of this is going to be like this. We will create a sample engineering student, class engineering student. Notice the syntax here where I say colon student. That means that it inherits from student, and therefore this engineering student class has all of the properties above. It has name, major, and age. But we're going to add something new to it. We're going to do add, oh wow, it's a bit cheesy, but does shower, bool, great. So this is a new variable. So notice that Vin, which is just a student, doesn't have this does shower Boolean, but if we instantiate something as an engineering student, not only will it have a name, an age, and a major, but it will also have this variable of do they shower or not. Now we need to make a new initializer. Here's what it looks like. Does shower. And we need to copy in these. Name, major. Okay. Oh, oops. I think I need to do this. Okay, so we have created a new initializer for this, which is kind of different from the previous one. Just like above, we set the property does shower right here, but we also have this extra line, which is super.init. Essentially, what it does is it initializes the superclass, which is the student. Because if you're inheriting from student, you must have a name, age, and major. And in order to set those, we do super.init. So we do this instead of adding like the wrong way to do this would be this. Don't do this. We do not add a new thing called var age, var name, var major. Like that would be totally wrong to do. Instead, anything that every student shares or everything in the superclass shares would be like that. And then any extra properties specific to the subclass will just be added here. So we can make another subclass, for example. So business student var knows knows DCF, which is a financial model, and then knows DCF equals knows DCF, which is this. Cool. Does that kind of make sense? Feel free to ask questions. Otherwise, you guys are all geniuses and y'all figured out very quickly how this works. All right, nice. All right, feel free to take like a 2-minute break. I just have to set something up for the next demo where we will be creating an app. I originally had it on my secondary monitor, but it's not working. So yeah. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Can you get clone?
Yeah, we already.
Oh no, I'm good. Yo, it's crazy that you have that on you though.
Like, from the course text.
Yeah. You. Okay, nice. Perfect. Cool. That's good. Okay. Cool. Congrats. You guys have learned like pretty much all of the basics of the language features of Swift. So now we'll be starting up again with the lecture. Sorry for the brief break. But we'll be learning UIKit, which is how you build an actual app. Um, so what is UIKit? It is basically a library of classes and they represent different views. So a view is what you see on your actual screen, and the language of these views, like how you create them and define what's going to be in the views, is set through instantiation of different classes. So what we learned before is super applicable here, because if you want to add a button, what you're going to do is you're going to call UIKit's pre-made UI button class, and you're just going to set that up. If you want to make a text field, then you can just do UI text field. And if you want to do an image, you can do UI image, etc. Once you set up this class, you can set the different properties. For example, the text inside of a text, the image name inside of that the image will pull from, etc. So that's why we had to cover classes. We will be creating everything inside of a UI view controller. The UI view controller basically is what controls the UI for the page. You will see this very concretely when we go through the demo. But you're calling all of these different UI component classes inside of the view controller. And we are actually, UI view controller is a main class, and we're creating our own subclass of it, which is why we had to learn that. So let us just jump into the demo. So I'm going to go to view controller. And also, if you want to follow along with this demo, you can go to the course website. Should be intro to iOS. Let's see. Should be right here. Nice. Yeah. I don't know if you guys went through like the Git tutorial yet, but you can just clone this repository in your terminal by opening up terminal. You write git clone this, and then you cd into that, and then that should give you the template to start following along with the code. So yeah, sure. Yeah, the way you do that. So I open up my terminal. I am going to go to my app dev. Oh, I'm currently in my app dev folder already. So sick. I'm going to make a new version of this. So I want to get this, right? So I'm going to do git clone and then the URL. Oh, wait, wait, make here demo, cd demo. All right, I'm going to do this, and it just downloaded everything in there. So now if I do open dot, the folder is in there, and I can click on Xcode Podge in order to open up the files. And it should yield everything that I have here with these files. Are we all good on that? Nice. Okay, sick. And throughout, we're going to be doing 2 different demos. So if you want to just skip to the next checkpoint, instead of typing everything out, you can just do checkout origin 1 UI label and origin 2 UI image view in order to just, get to that next part. We're going to be building the first thing. So essentially, we're going to be adding text to our screen. Right now, if I run this app, It will not be very interesting. It will literally be a blank screen or maybe even a black screen. This is, yeah, okay, that's literally it. Like there's nothing on the screen because we haven't told the program what to add to the screen. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set the background color to be equal to white. You can do that through this line right here. View.background color equals UI color.white. You can think about this as setting a property. What we did was we set the property of view, background color of view to UI color.white. And now if we recompile this by clicking on this build button here, should render with a white background. Sick. Nice. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add text to our code. So in order to add something to your code or to add a component to your view, what you want to do is there's going to be a procedure and I'll cover that later. But the brief overview is you want to create the view property first. So I'm going to do private let name label equals UI label. So what's happening here is it's pretty complicated because there's a lot of stuff going on, but we have this new class called view controller that we are creating. That's our own stuff. We're inheriting from UI view controller, which is from Apple. So Apple wrote that class and that basically handles all of the rendering stuff. Like it basically makes it easy for us to render onto the screen if we follow what Apple wants us to do. And we are setting a property of this class, which is name label, equal to a new class instantiation called UI label. So the first thing we do is just create this property, let private let name label equals UI label. The next thing that we do is we want to set up the view. This is the next thing. You want to typically set up the view in a helper function. So we're going to do private func setup name label like this. And then we're going to configure some of the properties of the view. So let's see, configure properties. Let's see, 3. So name label dot text equals Daniel. Name label dot font equals system font of size 24. Name label dot text color equals UI color dot black. So we've covered 3 steps so far. You start off with this boilerplate class view controller that inherits from Apple's UI view controller. You add a property, which is instantiation of the component you want. In this case, it's UI label. You then set up the view with a private function and you start configuring the properties. Next thing we want to do is add the view as subview and enable layout. So we can do this through view.add subview, and the name of the property, name label. And then we also do name label dot translates auto equals false. Honestly, I'm not too sure what this line is really used for, but I think you have to do this in order to like resize your different components, which we will do next. Okay, so let's just render this and see what's happening on our screen. Okay, so kind of odd, right? There is no text being rendered on our screen, even though we set up this function. Does anyone have a guess as to why this is the case? Exactly. Cool. So what you want to do is you want to call this is actually the 6th step. I'm going to skip the 5th for now, but you want to call the setup function on view did load. Essentially, view did load is going to trigger whenever the view is loaded onto the screen. So the second that Apple detects that, oh, this view is now on the screen, it will call your setup name label helper function. So you just do setup name label helper function. Boom, let's call that. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see, but it is currently right there. We have added a component onto our app, which is really cool, but it is laid out very poorly because no one can see that. So the 5th step that I skipped over is going to be layout. I will cover this in the slides, later, and we will go through another example. But the way you do this is you use the syntax called NS layout constraints. And instead of setting kind of like manual values like you might do in like HTML, like you might say, I want this padding to be like, I don't know, 20. You want to set everything to be relative to other stuff. So I will demo that. Label dot top anchor dot constraint equal to view dot save area layout guide, no constant. Okay. Oh. Hmm. Oh, I see. Top anchor. Okay, so this is literally all you need to do. These are the 6 different steps in order to add something onto your screen. This layout step is essentially saying that the top part of the name label should be the same as the top part of the app. And this safe area layout guide is because of the dynamic island and notches on the different iPhones, like the weird things. Basically, the safe area layout guide will put it below that, right? I will render this to kind of show you, but you see how there's this like thing right here? If you did like view.top anchor, it might like put your text like here, right? But if you do safe area layout guide, it will do like, oh, okay, this is the safe area, this rectangle that doesn't have any of the base iOS things on it. So we have now put it at the top of the view, and then this name label dot center X anchor, setting that equal to the views X anchor is basically saying, I want to put this text right into the middle of the view. In terms of horizontal positioning. So with this, we have vertical positioning from top anchor, right? Now it knows where the top of the text should be, and then it has a horizontal positioning from center X anchor. Does that make sense? Cool. We're gonna go over this one more time because I know it's like a lot to cover at once, but that is the general flow of how to create views. So auto layout, this is an example of different anchors. You have top anchor here, left anchor, right anchor, bottom anchor. So previously we used top anchor, and then you have height anchor as well as width anchor for things like rectangles or, things that have dynamic sizing. Okay, so here's the procedure. Make sure to reference this when you're coding up A2 if you need this as a reference, but you create the view property. We did that by instantiating it as a class. So this is when we said name label equals UI label parentheses. Set up the view in a helper function. This is when we created the setup name label function. Configure the view properties. This is when we set the text equal to Daniel, the font equal to the font that we wanted, the text color to be UI color.black, and then add the view as a subview and enable auto layout. This is when we called view.add subview name label in order to put that into the actual main view, as well as that weird translates auto resizing mask into constraints equals false thing. And then set up constraints. This is how we laid out the position vertically and horizontally of the text. And finally, call setup function in view did load in order to actually call the function when the view loads. Okay, we will do this one more time. So, let me switch the branch. Wait. Are people able to follow along on the demo? Okay, like cool. All right, nice. Cool. All right, we're now going to add an image to our thing. So you can kind of reference this demo as a setup or a starter code for your A2 almost, because we're definitely going to be adding an image and we're definitely going to be adding a text onto our screen. So let's run it back. Private let name or profile image view equals UI image view. Cool. This is step 1. We're making a new instantiation of Apple's UI image view, which helps us render an image. Private func setup profile image view. Cool. Does anyone want to take a guess at what we might have to do here? It's pretty formulaic. So it ends up being similar to setup name label. And a hint is that there's going to be a property of images. Images have a property called, um, let's see, dot image. Cool. So anyone want to take a guess at what we have to do here? Cool. Yeah. So we get our name, profile image view dot image equals, and you just set this into, you call this UI image class named, and inside of named, you just put a string, which is the name of your image. So how do we actually do that, right? In order to upload an image to your project, you click on assets.xc assets, and then you can upload a picture. So I've uploaded a picture of AppDev when we were at Millennium, which is kind of cool. Let's see. Okay. So the way you would do this is you kind of just find a picture on your computer and you can drag it right in like this. Boom. Now it's here. You can rename it to something. So picture 2. And now you should be able to render it as a UI image. So going back to view controller, the new picture I added was called picture 2. So I literally just say named picture 2. And now I have to do step 4, add the view as subview and enable layout. Okay, so I will literally copy this part over here, down here. But I need to change name label to profile image view because that's the thing that we're modifying. Cool. Step 5, set up constraints. Okay. I'm going to copy this. Change this to profile image view, profile image view. All right. Actually, you know what? Maybe. Okay. How about this? Does anyone want to take a guess at how I might be able to position this image right below the text that I rendered before? So just to show you one more time, we have this text with Daniel. How might I be able to put the image right below this text with my constraints? So recall that right here, we were able to do something similar with view.safeAreaLayoutGuide.top anchor, and that the bottom of this text is going to be the bottom anchor. So it would be an intuitive thing to kind of just take this top anchor and set it to be name label dot bottom anchor. I'm re-rendering it now to show you guys. Oh, wait, I forgot step 6. I actually made the mistake where I forgot to call the function in the view did load. So I had defined the function, but I didn't call it. So it wasn't ever running the code. Okay. Oh no. Oh, you know what? Maybe I messed up something. Well, maybe I have to set a constant. Okay. I guess I have to do. Oh, okay. That's the problem. No, I think I might have to add the other constraints first. Okay, profile image view dot center x anchor dot constraint equal to view dot center x anchor. So we want this to be in the middle of the view, just like the other one. Height anchor is going to be a constant, let's say 256. Oh, I see. And then width anchor is going to be 256 as well. And then I'll put commas at the end of each of these. Okay, cool. So unlike with the text, I think I just forgot I had to first set the height and the width. Otherwise, it doesn't know how big to make the image. So we've specified where horizontally and vertically we should place the image, as well as the width and the size of the image too. So hopefully it should work now. Oh, never mind. Do I have to set the constant immediately? Guess I have to do that. Oh, you're right. Oops, I forgot to switch that when I copy pasted. Good catch. Thank you. Okay, nice. Okay, so we've added the image. Just to show you what this constant thing does, the constant thing basically adds like an extra padding between the anchors. So without constant, you'll see that the image is right below the text with no space in between. But if I wanted to have some space in between, then I just add constant equals 24. And it should now be 24 pixels below the text when I render it. Cool. All right. Sorry for my mistake earlier, but this pretty much wraps up the concept for today, so the keys are basically, we covered classes as well as subclasses. We talked about UI kit, and we delved into how to set up a view controller by inheriting from the UI view controller, as well as the 6-step procedure for adding a component into your view. Anyone have a question? Yes. All right, cool. I think we can just jump into the Kahoot then. Oh, next time, Adeline will be teaching you guys how we add, like, push and pop different screens. So for example, when you use Instagram and you click on like a reel from your friend, that pops the reel on top of your phone. And then when you scroll to the left, it pushes it back off. And then you get back to your main content. And then we'll do the Kahoot for attendance today. Nice. Oh, apps.
It's okay.
Oh, nice. All right. You guys have played Kahoot before, right?
Yeah, join with your net ID so we can keep track of your attendance.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, why did the sound stop working? I'll play it on my Mac. Oh, it's not working. Okay. Are we all joined? Is anyone still joining the Kahoot? Figure time. Oh, hell no. Yo, no way. Sorry for the ear loss. Okay. Is anyone still joining? Sick. All right, let's start. Okay. Um, oh, gotta change the name. Okay, when should you have the partner preference form submitted by? Oh, nah. Yeah, I'm just gonna mute this actually. Okay. Was it? I think on the slides it said tomorrow, but if so, I'm very sorry. Let's see. Oh, for real? No, no, no. Wait. Oh, nah. Yo, I'm close. Oh, I think partner. Yo, you guys are more right than me. I'm actually a brick. All right, next. Sorry. The points don't matter for much though. Um, oh, yo, next question. So this is like a topic. This is just a poll. It's not worth points, but we were debating on whether or not office hours should just be like first come first serve, or like you just pull up whenever, or if we should share like the Google Calendar with you guys, and then you have to click on like yes 1 hour beforehand in order to come to the office hours, just so you have like a sense of how many people will be coming. And if no one's coming, we don't have to go. So if you're okay with this, Google Calendar system where you have to click on yes like 1 hour before in order to go to the office hours, just click on that. Otherwise, click on no if you would prefer to be able to just hop in whenever, but not know how many people will be going.
I guess 1 hour.
Yeah, like 1 hour before the office hours.
I choose whatever you feel the most comfortable with. This doesn't have like a correct answer. So.
Yeah, yeah. But don't click on NA though. Well, actually, if you're abstaining, I guess you can abstain from voting by clicking on NA. Mhm. Still at 9. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, cool. All right, we'll give you an update on that next week once we discuss. And then when is A1 now due? Okay, nice. Okay, so this one we did get right. And then next, you don't need to initialize all stored properties in a class. So if you want to recall the code, um, you can check that out too. But okay. This is not true because if you don't initialize the variable, then it's just like a junk value. Um, so if you look back at the example of the class that we gave, we do in fact initialize all of our different values. So we have like name, age, major, and we have to call super.init in the subclass. Otherwise, we would have the bug, the error that not all of our values are initialized. So if we did this, and then we tried to, create an engineering student, we would have a problem because it doesn't have an age, name, or major. So we do need to initialize all the stored properties in the class. And then what will we be using to constrain views in this course? This is from the demo, so
Right.
okay, sick. We do end up using SnapKit too, but we will be using NSLayout for the majority. SnapKit is just the alternative method to do it with like a slightly cleaner syntax. And then this is another poll. Have you added the course on Student Center yet? And all of the answers are right. Cool. Okay, nice. Yeah, so for anyone who's having issues, just feel free to come to us after class or discuss on it. Okay, that concludes the Kahoot. Congrats. Who are the winners? BH595. Okay, nice. What's your name? Ben, cool. ARG. Who's ARG? Oh, what's your name? Andrew? Okay, sick. And how about JC? What's your name? Jimmy? Okay, cool. Congrats, guys. And one last thing, if you're having troubles with CMS, we have now added a post to EdStem. You can just go here and just comment your net ID if you have not been added to the CMS yet, and we'll make sure to add you as soon as possible. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Try to fill out the two forms as soon as possible because we want to make the pairs for assignments like ASAP so that you can start working on.
Okay, stop share.